All right. Hey, here we are. I didn't hit the button I wanted. Let's go with that instead. All right, so 1 week later, we streamed last Wednesday at I think about the same time, and we got started on this kit. It's the Master Grade RX78-2. It's like a 3.0 version of that Master Grade, just recolored basically, with a couple of other small changes. And it's this limited edition fragment version of the kit. It's been a fine build so far. I really dig the all grayscale color scheme, and I'm gonna get this moved out of the way. But last time we built the core fighter and the chest unit and the head unit and the backpack of the kit. And I can't actually show those to you at the moment because what I've done is this morning I actually put some top coat on those, and so they're sitting off to the side at the moment, and they're going to be drying for the next maybe another hour or so. I top coated them 2 hours ago, so I want to give them just a little bit longer to cure, for that top coat to cure before I go and grab them and handle them. But we'll bring them on stream at some point today throughout the process, and I'll show you how they turned out. I did the water slide decals and a little bit of detail painting and panel lining on those in a few hours I had here and there, kind of scatter around across this past weekend. And so yeah, that's looking pretty good. Today it looks like we have the arm units up next in the instructions, and so that is where we will get started. And my throat feels like I want to cough, so I might end up drinking a lot of water today. And or reaching up there to mute my microphone so I can cough and not have it be annoying for whoever's watching. I actually did forget to do something with my OBS setup, but it's fine. We can stream this way. I usually have a little preview that shows all my cameras up on this screen that I'm looking at over here, and I forgot to turn that on, but it's not a big deal. All right, let's go. All right, I was just looking over this runner because I didn't really pay a lot of attention to this one the other day when we were building, because it has mostly arm and leg pieces, and I just hadn't taken a close look at it yet. It does look like it wants us to build the two arm assemblies in parallel, like both arms at the same time. I don't know that there's much difference at all between them. I guess we'll find out as we go along. I can report that after having put some flat top coat on those assemblies that we built last time, I think that this approach of just trimming the nubs very carefully, almost flush, excuse me, with the God hands, and then cleaning that little mark that's left with the glass file is doing a pretty good job, even on the very darkest shade of gray. Once the top coat goes on there, you can't really see those very slight nub marks that are left at all. Like, you probably can't even see on camera, not even if I zoomed in, but all I see here is like a very slight, it's more of a finish difference, like where the nubs were is slightly more glossy looking than a color difference. And so once the top coat goes on, it's hiding those just about perfectly. Which is good news and different for me, because since I normally paint everything that I build, I wasn't quite sure how that was going to work out with this one that I'm not painting. And of course, the reason for not painting this is that the color scheme is kind of the main thing that makes this particular special edition kit stand out. And so I wanted to leave it just as the plastic came, but I did want to put a top coat on it, both to protect it and because I just think a flat top coat looks better in pretty much every case. just realized that it called for another polycap besides the one that I already cut out for each of these arm pieces, so there's a second one here. All right, so that's the inside of one shoulder, I think, like the upper arm where it meets in with the shoulder. I have a few little tiny bugs crawling around on my build desk today. They're probably too small for the camera to see them, but they're annoying for sure. My studio being in my garage causes that to happen more frequently than I would like. Bugs and other critters show up. Actually, yesterday I walked in here and sitting on the little concrete slab that I have my 3D printer sitting on, there was a pretty big lizard, and he like ran away under and behind a shelf before I could try to catch him and get him out of here. But I actually thought, hey, there's a lizard hanging around in here, maybe he will eat the bugs. Obviously he's not done his part because there's still bugs crawling around. They're really small though, and they're not like too annoying. All right, looks like up next is the inner frame for the upper arm and then the elbow joint. I think I'm gonna go ahead and grab a bunch of parts off of this J-runner. Rather than doing one step at a time, I'm gonna go like maybe 3 or 4 steps out and grab everything that we need here. All right, so for cleaning up these parts, a different strategy is going to be required. I'm gonna have to use this knife here. At least to get most of it, and then we can finish it off with the glass file, I think. Yeah, that's pretty good. This one might be okay just like this. It's probably just about time for a new blade on that knife. Still cuts okay, but it's not like super sharp. At least not as much as I expected it to be. Oh, there it is. I kept the hobby knife right in reach because I thought there was a second one of these parts here that I used the hobby knife to clean, and I just hadn't found it yet. And then as soon as I moved the knife out of the way, the next piece that I just happened to randomly pick up was this one. So let's do the same sort of cleanup here. All right, so now, before I assemble these, we talked about last time that part of the reason for streaming this build, it's not really about the build. I want to test some stuff with my camera setup and everything before I do some more important projects, which I will tell you guys about soon, but probably not yet today. Anyway, I have some stuff coming up that I want to be able to both stream and record so that I can record some footage to edit down later into YouTube videos. And so last time we tried some live recording while I was streaming, and it caused some issues with the stream. It caused us to start dropping frames because my computer was having to do too much encoding. And so I've made some changes since then. And I'm actually right now hitting a couple buttons on my Stream Deck to start some recordings, and we'll see if this works out okay as far as the stream goes. I don't remember actually if those were the correct buttons or not. Let me look around here. I don't remember how I set this up. Oh, now I remember how I set this up. Okay, cool. Yeah, so we've got this overhead camera. We've also got this one, which is kind of over my shoulder. And I can set them both to record. So they're both recording now. They should also be, as far as audio goes, getting just a copy of my voice, like the microphone that's here over my desk, and not any of the background music or anything like that. I'm just looking at this. My fingers are in the way, but this slides down into here, and it looks like they want it to clip into something. I don't see what that something is just yet. Oh, because I've got this turned the wrong way. Haha. Alright, that makes more sense. So this clicks here, like so. And then we can slide this up in here. And it clicks like that. And then I think before I lose track of this, I'm supposed to attach it onto something. Before I build the second arm, I'll go ahead and finish this first one. So I can get those things put together. So that they don't fall apart. We can also look here, in the instructions here, there's actually, they instruct you to put some stickers on this particular part right here. This is kind of the back of the elbow joint. And if we look at the sticker sheet, somebody in the last stream last week when we were building the first part of this, we looked at this sticker sheet. They pointed out to me, they had built the Master Grade 3.0 RX78 before. I haven't built the original version of this kit. So they said all of these down here that are just in black on this sticker sheet were in the original version of the kit, like either silver or copper colored metallic, which makes sense because they want you to put most of these on different bits of the inner frame. So they were basically like metallic accents to add on to the gray parts that were the inner frame of the previous, or of the original version of this. However, when they remade the sticker sheet here for this fragment version of the kit, they decided to just do all of these in black. And we actually used a couple of them right here last time for details on a couple of the thruster bells on the backpack. But what they want me to do, like with these big ones right here, is they would go, you know, entirely covering the side of this gray part here, like on both sides. And then these very skinny rectangular ones here, you probably can't see, but like this wide rectangle here that I'm pointing at is actually 4 very thin rectangles next to each other there. They want you to put those on this edge here, which seems a little strange. And I'm probably just gonna skip them since they're just plain black. I don't feel like it makes sense. And that's actually why I spent a bunch of extra time cleaning up the nubs that were on the kind of on the sides along the seam lines here on, or along the mold lines here on this part, because I thought I would probably just leave it as the original, this, you know, kind of light medium gray color. So with all that said, we're just gonna leave this as is for this version of the kit. And we're gonna slot this together. Making sure, of course, that I orient it correctly. Yeah, so how all these parts for this elbow joint fit together, it makes sense. However, it's extremely fiddly to get everything fit together here and lined up. Just because these little extra sort of piston parts in the insides of the elbow joint are just hanging there loose. Until you finally decide, or until you finally get everything connected together. So that joint does look correct now that I've got it put together, but yeah, it was weird. Getting it all to fit together and work correctly was harder than I expected it to be, I think. We'll see on attempt number 2 here if I can manage to do it a little bit quicker. I think the answer was yes. It seemed ever so slightly easier the second time, although this joint right here didn't get captured correctly. So let me see if I can fix that. See, that one's good. This one wants to pop out. Doesn't happen on that side. So yeah, these guys, I should separate them ever so slightly. Work this down into here. Nope. Huh. Every time I think I've got it lined up, it ends up popping out of place. There we go. That's better. All right. That was probably a good enough test of the camera recording setup as well. So we will. No! This still doesn't want to stay in place. All right, tweezers, lift, slide, close. Still didn't get it? Wow. Now I'm not convinced that either one of those is in the right spot. I guess that one's the same as that one, so that's fine. Yeah, this one sits down a lot kind of lower inside of this joint part. And the more I try to adjust it, the more likely it is that I'm just rubbing off the very tiny nubs that actually grabs onto and making it worse and worse. So we're gonna say that's good enough. That's a weird problem. If anyone else has built this kit, not this specific color scheme, but like the 3.0 version of the Master Grade RX78 and if you have issues with the elbow joint, let me know. I'm curious. Like, is it just me? Did I not know what I was doing there? Or is it really something that has had problems for, or caused problems for other people? It's also entirely possible that as I put the outer armor on this arm anyway, that it will sort of hold that stuff in place a little bit better and clean that up. All right, this is for the other arm. I'm going to kind of keep it off to the side there. because we now have gotten to a section of the instructions that are treating the two arms ever so slightly differently from one another. So I paused there for a second when cutting out these little kind of round little cap pieces that go, I assume, on the elbow joint. Because it took me a minute to figure out that the instructions look like they're giving us a choice. So we have these, I'll show closer up top-down view in a second when we get to assembling them. But there are some that are kind of filled in, and then some that are the same size but are open from the top so that you can see whatever's underneath. And it looks like we get to choose which of those we want to use. So what I'm going to do is cut them both out, at least cut them off the runners that way, and then we will take a look when I go to assemble these and decide which ones I like better. There's an unfortunately located mold line right here on the side of this little part. But I think my experience earlier on with top coating the sub-assemblies that we already did, that we did last time, I think that what I've learned from doing the top coating on those is that if I just file it smooth with the glass file like that, that the little line that's left over should mostly disappear. once I hit it with the flat top coat that I'm using. So that will work for now. Right, so here in the palm of my hand is one of those round pieces. This is the kind of open top one. And then this is the one that is filled in. Hopefully you can see the difference there. To me, the open looking one feels more like kind of the standard iconic RX78 design. And so that's the one I'm likely to use. But we'll keep the other ones just in case I change my mind. I wonder how much of this part here is going to actually be visible versus, you know, covered up by other things, because if like the main sides of it here are visible, they really chose bad places to put the gates on this piece. Oh, that's the one I was saving for later. It's the other arm. So I'll just, this part up here by the tweezers, I'll just leave it up there for now. All right, let's see. This is the one. Is this the one? Yeah, this is the one that one section of the joint here wants to pop out. So we'll do this one first. Yeah, so I snapped that piece in where they asked me to, but now the joint won't close back up again. And so I'm sure it's because of the misalignment of this piece back here. So I'm gonna take this back off, and then we'll try it with this other one that I think is assembled correctly, and we'll see if it's easier and works correctly. And if so, then I will know that yeah, so I need to go back and reassemble that other inner arm joint because it's still obviously not correct. But let's finish with this one first, and then that'll make me feel better about kind of knowing how it's supposed to work, and I think that will help me to be able to get the other one fixed. I'm missing a piece. All right, so this goes on here. And then one of these just clips in. Let's see, with these slightly angled bit downward, just like that. Yeah, that looks correct. All right, and then we can either put this cap here on there like that, or this style that's like open and lets you see the darker gray through it, which is what I'm going to choose. Yeah, I think that looks better. So we'll set these four off to the side there because we're not going to use them. And then let me go ahead and put this here. This way. All right, and this lower forearm piece is not gonna be held in place until I turn the page of the instructions and do whatever's on the next page. However, before I do that, I do want to try to fix the other elbow joint. So let me clean up these couple of parts that we need for the other arm that are exactly the same as the ones we just put together. And then I'll work on that really quick before we continue on. I think that the best approach here is going to be to actually just take that elbow joint completely apart and then put it back together again. Yeah, let's do that. So all right, there's that onto the little thing that holds it. That one seems right. That one seems right. Nope, it still wants to pop out. All right, let's look at this side. Yeah, there's a little scrap of plastic in here that is sort of preventing that thing from grabbing, which is part of the problem. I'll clean that up. All right, that seems better already. So All right, I figured it out. So this lighter gray part here, this little sort of like shield part that goes around the back of the joint, I have it on upside down. And so it's got this wider little bit right down here as compared to this side, and it's interfering with that little joint there grabbing. So that's actually been the problem this whole time. And so what I'm going to do is take this off of here carefully. And then we can flip that around. And that'll fix it. So we want to turn this one around this way. I'm just making sure before I push this together that that is actually correct. And it is. All right, that piece wants to go this way. I've never had this much trouble, I don't think, assembling any other Gunpla kit in the past, and I've built a lot of them. Maybe I'm just not paying attention to detail today. I don't know what's up. But I think this is finally going to be correct. So now we have that, and we have that. And that is how it's supposed to be. Wow. That was really difficult. Okay. So let's get the one piece that I forgot. It's number 6 off of this runner. All right, so now I should be able to bend this way, slide this in there until it clicks, bend that back up, and I'm missing a piece. Is 20 still here? Yes, it is. I'm gonna need this 21 as well. Oh, and before I forget, since the issues with the build so far have gotten me a little bit scatterbrained, while I'm remembering it, I should test this now as well. One other thing I wanted to test today was recording some vertical content. So I almost never do any work in vertical, format, because I think the model building stuff I do and the 3D printing stuff I do lends itself certainly much more to working well with horizontal content. However, I have an upcoming project, and the friend who asked me to do this project for him also asked if I could record like a little sort of intro / announcement about it in vertical format. So I've got my OBS set up to have a vertical scene, and you won't see it, but I'm gonna hit record on that vertical scene right now. So I am now recording what you see on your screen here, the build thing, also with my face just above it in a vertical type of a format. And I'm gonna do that here for a couple of minutes while I continue working on this, just so that I can look at that recorded content later on and make sure it looks okay. All right, so there's our fixed arm section. And I guess I'll go ahead and put these bits in as well, even though that's gonna be called for on the next page. might as well put this in here. All right. Very good. Yeah, so that those black stickers, these ones here that I chose not to do, would have resulted in this little edge right here, kind of on the front of these two gray parts, being black. And then the sides of it, where we were supposed to put these large ones, actually aren't really visible at all. Yeah, not even when you bend the arm. So that's kind of weird. But I am totally fine with having not used those. Also, I've stopped the vertical recording test. All right, so yeah, unfortunately, it looks like these two little side bits here, which I was complaining about, the very visible nub marks, or the gate placement that left the potential for visible nub marks, I've mostly concealed them at this point with just the glass filing. Anyway, it looks like those are both going to be very much visible. Which is a little unfortunate. All right, let's see. We're gonna do the left and right arms separately for just a minute so I don't get the parts mixed up, because they are different. They're like mirror images of each other. So this little half circular molded area here on this part, again, has like a really annoying mold line right down the middle of it, which I'm gonna try to smooth out because I think that that's gonna be visible. After when we put this together, it's gonna be like there. Yeah. So definitely visible. Up until today, so like the first part of this build that we did last week, I don't remember having any like issues with the engineering or the like runner design and part design of this kit. So I'm a little surprised today to be like not super happy with some of the way that both the pieces and the assembly and engineering have been designed. Certainly not the best master grade kit I've ever built. It's not terrible either, but I was expecting maybe a little bit better from an engineering point of view. All right. Nope. So I lost track of which arm was which when we were playing with both of their bends just a minute ago, but yeah, this is the one that I need for this side for sure. So all right, so this one goes with those parts, and I need a polycap. I guess when I opened this and looked at the runners and saw both polycaps and those old style of the like jointed finger hands that I hate, that probably should have been a big signal to me that maybe this wasn't the best engineered master grade kit of all time. Not that I was expecting it. Yeah, so this little piece here that like is the very front of the forearm that connects or just kind of shields into the wrist area, just kind of sitting here floating. There is like a cuff piece that goes in before we put the hand in place. Yeah, speaking of those hands that I hate, here they are. The right hand is number 1 off of this runner, so I'm gonna just grab that now. All right, did I get them all? Almost. Right, so this attaches to the runner in like 15 places. That may have been a slight over-exaggeration, but it's actually close. Yeah, and my best nippers have trouble cutting this particular kind of plastic. I hate so many things about these kind of hands. All right, so we're gonna trim this with the knife. Try to get them cleaned up as best we can. You also, like, not that I'm doing it because I'm not painting this kit, but like sanding and then painting this particular type of plastic as well is a terrible experience. So what I'm going to do is with this very sharp knife, I'm going to try my best to shave these little nubs that are left down as best I can so that I don't have to use the glass file either, because the glass file doesn't work well on this kind of plastic. But there's almost no way to avoid leaving these little tiny white dots. And they're going to be in visible places on like sort of the tops of the fingers, right? So there'll be like one here on a few of the fingers. and there's not really any good way to avoid it. Maybe the actual solution is just to either buy or design and 3D print some fixed pose replacement hands for this guy. I think that might be my longer term solution to this problem. But for now, we'll build it with these hands. Alright, did I get them all? No. Now, did I get them all? I think so. Alright, so this bends up in there. This little tab piece folds around into the palm like so. Then we just kind of turn all the fingers. See, I've already pulled one of them out of the ball joint. And the more you accidentally pull them out of the ball joints, then the easier they come out in the future. So they get looser as you use them. There we go. So all 4 fingers are good and can sort of bend them a bit. That one came out again. Just to loosen up the rest of the joints. Okay, there. So all those pre-molded joints now are at least working. Somewhere here is the back of the hand. It is this one. And for the right hand, it is supposed to be 7. Hey, so what kind of plastic is it? The weird hand plastic? It is, let me check. It's whatever, you know, the Bandai real grade kits, that like the older style real grade kits that have the, like the joint, MS joint runners. Whatever kind of plastic is used for that. It says, yeah, it says ABS. All right, there's a hand. Can you see the annoying little white dots on the backs of the fingers? That's the worst one, but all 4 of them have one on the sort of the middle segment of the finger, and then like 3 of the 4 fingers have them on this first segment as well. They're annoying. Yeah, it's hard to paint. The paint tends to want to flake off if you want to paint. But again, this kit, I'm trying not to paint it, so it's even more unfortunate that it has this. Like I said, what I probably will do is replace these hands with some pre-molded fixed pose hands that I either find somewhere or make myself. and resin print. But then if I do that, I've got to find a color of dark gray paint that goes with the rest of the inner frame. Actually, yeah, this is slightly different from the dark. It's like a slightly darker gray even than the darkest gray that's on the inner frame of the arms as well. So I don't even know what these hands are supposed to even match with in this kit. Like, it looks like they molded them in a slightly different, probably because it's a different type of plastic. They couldn't match the color exactly. Anyway, let's get the little, what is it, 14 off of here? Yeah. This little kind of cuff piece that goes between the hand and the arm, and at least we can get one arm finished. Alright, so this, the direction doesn't matter, it just goes on here like so. Then we can pop the hand in. The other thing with these hands is, it's always seemed to me that the fingers, and especially the thumb, seem extremely large for the size of the hand and the scale of the kit. Yeah, really, really large. Can I put this here yet? I want to, but I'm not sure if I'm allowed to yet. I guess I can do whatever I want, but yeah. Okay, we can put this here. All right, so there's an arm with no shoulder yet. I'm going to build the other arm, like sort of finish it up real quick here, but not do the hand because there's no reason to make anybody watch me having to clean up and prepare that other hand. I'll do that off camera later on. There's the other two parts I need. And then as soon as I finish putting this arm together, I'll go grab the painted top-coated part, not painted, just top-coated parts from over there, which look like they're probably dry by now. And it's been plenty long, I think, since I sprayed them. And so we can take a look at those. See how this plastic turns out with a little bit of flat top coat on it. Yeah, those hands, you definitely have to experience them, I think, to understand the pain. I don't know why they actually kept them on master grades for a pretty long time there. Like, it was at least a few years, right? That almost every single master grade kit had those hands. It took them longer than I would have expected to decide that, oh, that was a bad idea, we should change it. These arms turn out a very monochrome shade, or, you know, version of this sort of medium gray, which I guess is correct, right? Because in the original kit, they would have just been entirely white. So this medium gray is replacing white in the color swap. I just used my good nippers for cutting a part off of the runner. Don't tell anyone. It was a mistake. I won't do it again. I promise. Alright, so I'm just gonna push this on here onto the polycap and just not have a hand for a minute. More than a minute, for a while on this one. And then eventually I will come back to that and fix it up with a hand of some kind. All right, so give me a second. I'm gonna go clean my hands with some kind of a wipe or something, and then grab those painted parts, the top coated parts. I'll be right back. All right, so clean hands. So that I don't get fingerprints on these things. And I haven't looked at these up close, since they've dried, so these are kind of my first impressions, I guess. And I think they look pretty good. All right, let's get these off, and then I'll give you some closer up looks at them. All right, so the head is here. Let's get the camera to focus. I do need to remove the masking that I put in place to protect the clear parts, which are not clear anymore. So these were like the head cameras and the eyes. When we built them last week, they were transparent. Like the original plastic was actually transparent, not a color transparent, just completely clear. And so what I did is I grabbed this bottle of blue enamel paint. It's kind of like a bright fluorescent blue color. And I actually painted the back sides of the transparent parts. And so it's probably gonna be hard for the camera to see, but this is like still shiny and transparent, but from the back side you can see the blue shining through. Same thing with the eyes, but they're like down there in the head, so you can't really see that very easily. And then I also used that same blue as a little bit of an accent. So like there's a few spots here on the chest. I think, yeah, there's a couple on the backpack as well that I just filled in with that blue, just to add a tiny touch of variety from the monochrome that we had before. The feel of this is so much better with the matte coat. This is my favorite, very super matte paint. Let me see, I think I have an extra bottle of it here. Yeah, so this is Moto brand. Lacquer, and they call it super flat clear. You probably can't see on camera, but there's like so much of the matte medium in here that it like sinks to the bottom of the jar, and it's like probably about that thick of just solid sediment at the bottom. So you gotta shake it, you gotta first thin it and then also shake it a ton every time you use it. But it produces this really, really nice super flat finish. Now the decals, as we talked about last time, Bandai's decals are not generally the highest quality in the world, and these ones are definitely thick. Like I can still see, if I hold it in a certain light, I can still see the edges around the decals, especially on the darkest shade of gray. That's unfortunate, but it is what it is. And I also masked the canopy here as well, since it's clear. Didn't want it to end up with a matte finish. So let's get that tape off. That looks good. I don't know, again, if the camera picks it up or not, but I actually hit the insides of these thrusters as well with that blue paint. And then the insides of these thrusters on the backpack were that same clear plastic. And so I did the same thing where I painted the backside of that plastic with the blue, so it still has that sort of clear plastic sheen to it, but then a blue tint shining through from the backside. So those look like that now. I think that came out looking pretty good. There's a tiny little bit of dust or something. Maybe got trapped under my top coat up here. Or maybe it's the edge of a decal. Ah, there it goes. Okay, it's gone. Cool. Yeah, nice. All right. crisis averted. All right, so this goes on here. This goes here. Yeah, that looks nice. And there wasn't on this kit, I think we talked about it last time, there wasn't really a whole lot to panel line. Mostly there's just these little kind of rectangular notches all around the kit. And so I hit those with some black panel line fluid. And then like this, I didn't mention it, but this little area here that I painted with the blue, there was actually this decal that goes kind of up the top of the chest here actually had a area that was supposed to just cover that up that would have made it black. So I cut that out of the decal because I didn't want to cover up the little bit of extra painting I had done there. I think a similar thing's going to happen in one spot on the leg as well. I was looking ahead at those details to see what that was going to look like. So I don't know if the, I think the camera picks this up, like especially with the lighting. So if you look at the arm, which has this very kind of toy-like plastic shine to it, and then you look at this, which is the same, is that the same shade? Yeah. So this the chest here is the same shade of gray as that. So the flat coat, you know, both darkens it and also takes that shine off and makes it look, I think, a whole lot better. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I noticed while we were building it even, the core fighter, the right wing here seems a lot more loose and actually tilts down at an angle more than the left one does, which is a bit annoying. Like I'd like them to be more symmetrical. But oh well. I'm not sure, I haven't decided yet how I want to display this either. You remember this has this like landing gear bit that was all molded in clear. I didn't do any painting or anything on that. I think that I'm probably not going to use it. I think that it's likely instead that I will probably display this core fighter on some kind of a stand, maybe flying next to the Gundam in its final place on my shelf. So I didn't go ahead and paint, because like this landing gear should not be clear. If you were actually going to use it as part of the display, it should be a color. So we'll see. But I think for now, I haven't touched that because I don't think I'm going to use it in the final setup. Yeah, so there we go. So I am really happy with how these have turned out. Yeah, again, not my favorite water slide decals ever, but I'll continue using them because I think they do add to the look of the final piece. I don't dislike the design of them. I dislike the quality. Anyway, back to these arms. I think that for today I'm gonna stop. those elbow joints took a lot of extra time, and so I've actually been streaming longer than I had already planned to. So I was hoping to do both arms and the shoulders. I may just wait, or I may just do the shoulders offline so that next time we can start again with the leg units. Because the legs and waist are going to take a while as well, and then we'll kind of be done. So yeah, I'll probably just finish up both of these arms and the shoulders offline, go ahead and put the decals and do the detailing on them as well and top coat them so that they're ready to go the next time we come back. I don't know when that'll be. Maybe we've accidentally created a schedule where it's every Wednesday. I don't know. It depends entirely on my free time and when I can manage to find time to work on this. And so I'm not sure when that's going to be, but whenever it is, I will see you guys in the next one. Have a good day.